Good morning, my dear students. In the last sessions, we studied about law of demand. Law of demand states that there is an inverse relationship between price of a commodity and its quantity demanded. That means, if price of a commodity increases, its quantity demanded decreases and vice versa. There is the inverse relationship between price and demand. Today, we will discuss about other determinants of demand. First one, demand and prices of related goods. The related goods are classified into two, substitute goods and complementary goods. Substitute goods are those goods which are an alternative to one another in consumption. They satisfy same human wants with equal ease. For example, wheat and rice, tea and coffee. They are substitute goods. If X and Y are substitute goods and imagine price of Y rises, it could cause an increase in demand for X. An increase in the price of substitute good increases quantity demanded for other goods. Thus, demand for a good usually move in the direction of the price of the substitute goods. Example, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are close substitute for each other. Suppose the given good is Pepsi and the price of its substitute good Coca-Cola rises. So the consumer can shift it to Pepsi because it has become relatively cheaper. Therefore, it leads to increase in demand for Pepsi at the same price. Demand curve of Pepsi shift to the right. Next is complementary goods. These goods are jointly used or consumed together to satisfy a want. Car and petrol, pen and ink are example. If X and Y are two complementary goods, if the price of Y rises, the quantity demanded for X will decrease. This means the demand for a good moves in the opposite direction of the price of its complementary good. For example, an increase in the price of, suppose tea is the given good and sugar is the complementary good. An increase in the price of sugar reduces its demand, which in turn decreases demand for tea at the same price since tea and sugar are used jointly. The demand curve of tea shift to the left. Another example, car and petrol. If the price of petrol increases, demand for car decreases because they are jointly used. Next, demand and income of consumer. Different commodities respond differently to a change in the level of income. We can divide it into three categories. The goods we can divide into three categories. The first one, comforts and luxuries or normal goods. Comforts and luxuries or normal goods. The quantity demanded of a normal good increases with an increase in the level of income. That means the demand for such good bears a direct relation to the level of income. Luxury goods like AC, TV, etc. are examples. Suppose, with the rise in income, a consumer buys more of X, then X is a normal good for that consumer. An increase in the income of the consumer increases the disposable income and consumer is in a better position to spending more on the good X. Therefore, the consumer may buy more quantity of the good at the same price. So, the price demand curve of the normal good shift to the right at the same price. If income decreases, demand for such good also decreases. Next one is necessities. The demand for necessities is not affected by the increase in income. For example, rice, salt, etc. If income increases, normally a consumer does not consume more of salt or rice. Next one is inferior goods. Inferior goods. These goods are defined as those goods for which a superior substitute does exist. All the inferior goods have a superior substitute. But the consumer cannot afford to purchase the substitute because of the low level of income. Demand for inferior good fall with an increase in income and vice versa. For example, non-branded shirts and branded shirts. If the income of the consumer increases, consumer shift his consumption from non-branded to branded shirts. And finally, another determinant, taste and preference. Demand for a commodity bears a direct relationship to the change in taste and preference of consumers. A favorable change in the taste and preference for the goods will result in increased demand for it at the same price. Example, demand for cold drinks goes up in summer. Unfavorable change in taste, fashion, etc. will result in decrease in demand for the goods, while there is no change in its price. The demand for cold drinks may decrease in winter. It is because of the taste and preference or the seasonal changes. The price remains the same. Next, normally demand and price are inversely related. But there is an exemption. There is some exemptions for law of demand. Some goods like giffen goods, Veblen goods, etc. has a direct relationship between price. Listen, first one is giffen goods. These are inferior goods with very high negative income elasticity of demand. This good is consumed by low paid wage earners, bajra, jowar, etc. Next one is Veblen goods. These are goods of status or prestigious goods to promote social prestige of the holder. In case of Veblen goods, higher the price, more the demand for them. For example, diamonds. Next is demonstration effect. A section of society tends to imitate the consumption pattern of higher income groups. This is called demonstration effect. In this case, the law of demand is violated because people demand more of the commodity even at higher prices. And another exemption, expectation of price in rise in future. If price rises and the buyers expect further rise in prices, then it causes increase in demand. These are the exemptions of law of demand. The case of giffen good, Veblen goods, demonstration effect and expectation of price rise in future. These are the important exceptions of law of demand. Thank you.